Welcome to the inaugural address of the Director of the Arbitration, Representation and Security Trust. My name is Loki. I am the sole shareholder, the appointed director. In my capacity as shareholder, I've said, yep, you're the director. And I am also in a separate capacity at this point, the sole employee or trustee of the ARST. Now I don't have any rights to control one when I'm working when I am in one capacity as to another, and actually so far all I've contributed as the shareholder is simply my time and effort, but that's fine. I'm just basically that's kind of not really that important at the moment. Anyway, so I just wanted to explain what this is all about. Now, there is a disagreement in the libertarian anarchist community between, well, the anarchists are obviously in disagreement with this, but within the libertarian community there is a disagreement between whether we should have no government or minimal government, as they call it. So anarchist, meaning no rulers, or minarchist, which means minimal rulers. And just to explain, minarchists are generally conceived to have pretty much the same values as what we would call the classical liberals, which were the philosophy that the guys that created the Constitution of the United States had. They were basically the first free speech, capitalist. They basically rejected the power of the crown. They rejected the power of the church, and it was their belief that government should only have the mandate to intervene in events where there was a clear case of a dispute between two parties about some particular issue. So hence where it all comes down, you have to arbitrate, you have to provide security, and you have to provide representation, because representation, when I say representation, I mean like as in an attorney or a like if someone is not competent at law, then it's within their rights to appoint somebody, just like in a trust where you've got beneficiary, they can declare who is going to be the director, and the director acts as the person who speaks and tells everyone what's going on. So anyway, right. So this is the position of the ARST, is that me at this point, is that and obviously therefore it's simply me, but once I offer something that other people want to be a part of, obviously it won't just be me, and then I won't be, I could even divest myself of the role of employee or trustee, which is something I'd really like to do. I'd like to be just a shareholder and maybe a director, but mainly just a shareholder, because then I can tell my ideas to my fellow shareholders and the director, who is probably going to be voted out of the shareholders, what I think we should be doing. So What is the aim of this organisation? The aim of this organisation is to provide these essential services that promote social harmony, which is arbitration, representation, and security. Now, in order to do this, there's a little bit of a problem. The problem is that currently in my jurisdiction and any jurisdiction you care to name, there is a single party who claims all right to all of these functions, which is my local government, my state government, my federal government, which would be the Australian government, Queensland government, and Brisbane City Council. But that claim cannot be supported by my consent. It's not supported by my consent. So the whole idea of this is that I'm providing an alternative service, put simply. Okay. So this is based on from Murray Rothbard's anarcho-capitalist ideas that follows on to Hans Hermann Hoppe, who is has generated this concept that he calls the private law society. And a private law society is basically, okay, to give you some historical background, back in the olden days of Iceland, I think it was around 1100 or so, they had a long history of blood feuds and, families killing members of other families and, tit for tat going on and all this murder going on and violence and internecine war. And basically somebody had the bright idea, well, what if we make it so that people can choose who their chief is? Or in other words, when they say chief, that means like who has the power to represent, arbitrate, and secure in their name, right? That's where the name of this organisation comes from. So in other words, these early Icelanders, they had the option of choosing which chief they would choose to represent themselves, and so as a result, a market process commenced, which basically allowed people to decide, well, who do they want to be their judge, jury, and executioner, so to speak. And they basically, what happened as a result of this is the most impartial of the chieftains then became the most popular, and because of that popularity and the competition for allegiances with the tribe, with the people, led to a situation where it went from endless blood feud, tit for tat, Romeo and Juliet bullshit to peace. And all it took was that freedom to define who you will allow to represent you, to secure you, and to arbitrate for you, to preside over, decisions about whether this person is right or that person is right. So that's what this is all about. Hans Hermann Hoppe's private law society concept is basically that of these so-called essential services under the minarchist concept of things being under the market discipline, which means that that consumers of these services may at any time choose another provider for any given service. And now this is the thing. It's not necessary for a single organisation to provide all three types of services in one. It's not necessary, but there's no reason why they can't, but there's no reason why they have to. So irrespective of that, I'm going to go with the idea that the three things are all going to be bundled together, and that see, the thing is, I can't do this by myself. I can do it by myself for myself, but I can't do it by myself for anyone else. Although, having said that, I could, if I have a reputation for being able to represent or secure or arbitrate effectively, then maybe other people might want to choose my services as opposed to someone else's, like the government's, for example. Now, okay, that's what we're doing. Now, what gives us the mandate and the standing to be able to do this is essentially a process which I'm in the process of developing, which is to essentially withdraw consent to the current de facto provider of these services being one's government, that is, one has been presumed to be bound into through the contract of the citizenship, which is proven by your birth certificate. And just for fun, I'm going to wave one around. My birth certificate, it's been changed, has a new name on it. And that as that is a contract, it's voluntary and non-perpetual. It's very important. You can't force anyone to sign a perpetual contract. Perpetual contract says rules against perpetual contracts in equity law, they are not acceptable. Perpetuities are not acceptable. Under trust law, look at Gilbert's. It's one of the first things that he talks about in Gilbert's. You're not allowed to make a trust perpetual. The government is a perpetual trust. Now, what does that tell you? That you're renewing it, that it's only confined to you. So there's you, your parents, and the government. It's not permanent. It can't be permanent. It's not allowed to be permanent. It's unlawful for it to be permanent. So at any time, you have the right to cancel that contract and start a new one with someone else, which is what I'm proposing to offer as a service for other people. But obviously, I'm not going to get anyone's business if I have no proof that I have the power to enforce what I say I can enforce. And I'm not saying I can enforce anything at this time. This is all purely just the beginnings, the first point, the introduction, the starting of the process. And I'm not the first person to do this. Rob Menard from the World Freeman Society is his cunning plan, which is a very cute thing. Okay, he's a funny man. I really like him from what I see. He's basically a private law society. So what he wants to do is the same thing as what I want to do, and I've wanted to do this ever since ever. But once I read Hopper, I was like, this is it. Okay, enough for now. Bye.